Well, you had what? Sandwich love, sandwich fever. What did they say in this movie?
I think it was Sandwich Fever.
No, it wasn't.
I feel like it was.
No way. I feel.
It was like Sandwich Fever or like Sandwich Sickness or something.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, like sandwich.
Are you sandwich sick or something?
Maybe something like that. Wow, it's crazy. We just watched this movie, and I've forgotten what the opening bit was there.
I'm Nate.
I'm Mike.
And what the hell was that?
What the hell was that?
A good movie.
Yeah. I had fun.
Yeah, I'm coming out the gate with this one. I had a good time.
I don't know if it was the comfort of finally being able to watch something in the comfort of your room.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, this has been the first film that we've talked about thus far that we did not see in the theater.
That is true.
So yeah, this is a little bit of a different experience, which I think so far that's going to be both a blessing and a curse. Because one, I love the movies. There is an experience that's very hard to replicate in going to a theater.
Right.
But additionally, while it is nice to be in the comfort of my own bedroom watching a film,
Right.
That also gives me the freedom to be able to talk all that I want and make jokes about the film, which, while is very fun and I think maybe heightens my overall enjoyment, I think it's very easy for me to be distracted from the actual movie, which will definitely, I think, become a little more prevalent when it comes to trying to recap the plot a little bit.
Yeah, I see your point. Now, granted, I don't have the same distraction issues, I guess. What I really like about being able to watch a film here in the comfort of your room as opposed to the theaters is that I can burst out in laughter and make very loud comments while we watch it. Like, I don't got to worry about none of the other people in the theater or anything like that. Because there were many times that I was just shout laughing.
Yeah, that is
things
true.
At the screen and to you. And, I enjoyed that immensely. I'm not gonna lie.
Again, the home experience is definitely a lot easier for riffing.
And there was a cat. We had a cat.
Yes,
we had Whiskers with us.
We have Whiskers.
Yeah, just being a good old fool.
Yeah, and she attacked my toe.
And her own toes.
Yeah,
which is what really makes that Whiskers magic.
I also want to point out that if during the first 30 seconds to a minute in this podcast there was some extra noise, we had the air conditioner on, and Mike was smart enough to point that out. So we have that turned off for your listening pleasure, so there's not any extraneous noise, hopefully.
That's right. We're willing to forgo temperature control in the middle of a summer's night here in humid Delaware.
Whew.
For y'all, just to make sure that the sound quality is the greatest it can be.
Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button.
You know what? I don't know. For podcasting, I don't know that people necessarily need to go smashing buttons of any kind, frankly.
I smash that like button.
And subscribe.
Follow?
Put it in your feed? I don't know how this works.
Show your friends?
Yeah. Share the word and comment with your favorite Fast and Furious soundtrack, because I'm officially looking for suggestions at this point after the gold that was this film soundtrack.
You know, actually, this also, I think, is a good point for me to mention that I did make an email for the podcast.
Oh, wow.
And that was actually almost more so that I could get that sweet 15 gigabytes of free storage on Google Drive, because I was running out of that on my personal thing, and I needed to share the audio to this somehow.
Yeah.
But the added benefit of that is that if any listeners are out there and maybe are not on YouTube, if they're listening to this through other streaming platforms where there are not comments enabled, if you guys still want to reach out to us for whatever reason, be it suggestions, comments, you still can do that. And that is going to be...
so wait, you're telling me it could be like WTH was that?
I think that's what it is.
Oh, boy. Oh, man. Sometimes, I don't want to tell you how to run your business here, or our business.
So you can email those questions to us at WTH was that pod at gmail.com.
You're telling me that was what? THW that pod at Gmail?
You're going to actually confuse people here.
Well, come on, that's
I'll
all me.
repeat that. That is WTH was that pod at gmail.com. And I will not take any further comment on the matter.
All right. I like surprises. Surprises are fun. Yeah, they're good. Okay, so we do have an email, and that's great. And as soon as I get that right, I'll be sure to send the first needless email to bother you. It'll probably be something about the name.
So I guess while we're on this topic of home viewings,
Sure.
this leads me to two anecdotes that I've been dying to share. So our last viewing was The Forever Purge, and we did see that in theaters.
Yes.
And we went to the concession stand to buy our popcorn and drinks, as you do.
As you do.
And I am a proud member of the Regal Crown Club, I think they call
Ooh.
it. Anyway, I'm part of their membership thing where you get free movie tickets and some discounts and stuff.
Right.
Excuse me, I burped. And with that, you get certain coupons and such. And so I placed my order, and I was waiting to get my food, and I'm just chatting with the cashier.
Well, I don't know how you're a proud member of some club or another.
Exactly. And so the cashier says to me, they say, would you like to donate $1 to insert charity name? And let me give you a little bit of insight to my personal philosophy. I tend not to... Don't shame me. I tend
Please
not to
don't.
donate to charities through corporations. I like to do that directly because otherwise it just becomes a tax write-off for a corporation, and they get to reap all the benefits.
Instead of a tax write-off for me.
Hey, man, these are hard times.
Like any of us do tax write-offs.
I know. I've never in my life. But I'm not going to let Regal Corporation get that tax write-off.
Right.
So I politely declined. I said, no, thank you, not today. And then she scans my Crown Club thing, to which I realized I was not aware that I had a coupon that made my order free.
Yay.
So then it changed it from whatever exuberant amount,
$53.60 for a small popcorn and a cup of ice
to 0.0. To which the cashier looks at me and says, "Do you still not want to donate that $1?"
Just like that.
Exactly. Actually,
And then she pulled a very disheveled-looking child out from behind the counter.
Yeah. So, long story short, I was bullied into donating to charity. So
She held you by your ankles and shook a little bit
it felt that way,
emotionally.
which leads me to my next little anecdote before we actually talk about this film. So that was a drum roll, by the way.
What? I'm practicing my rolling R's.
So we ordered a pizza today.
Yes.
Because, believe it or not, we do not have a concession stand in our home.
That's right. No kitchen. Not in this house.
And so I suggested that we get a pizza, but before I made that suggestion, I was thinking, oh, maybe we could go to the local convenience store. If you're not from the upper northeast area, there's a convenience store that we go to called Wawa. I know it's not exactly a regional thing, or it is a regional thing, not a national thing. Excuse me. So anyway, I was thinking maybe we could go to Wawa. And that reminded me of this really stupid idea that I had when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
So as a kid, I would often go to Wawa. And again, for those of you who are not familiar with Wawa, they have a section where you can order food. And it's made to order. And so I would order sandwiches, and I decided that I wanted like the most amount of sauce on the sandwich that they would give me.
Right.
And so logically, you'd think, okay, just hit the extra sauce button. But for whatever reason, my 12-year-old brain thought that the much clearer way to get as much sauce as possible on this was to hit every option for the sauce, be it light sauce, normal sauce, and extra sauce. And nobody ever yelled at me or was like, hey, which do you want?
Right.
So I guess it worked, but as somebody who's worked in food service to some extent, how did they make my order every time without asking me to clarify?
Right.
Because what do you go off of?
If I were behind the counter, I would start with no sauce and then do the quantity for light sauce.
Well, clearly that was my thought process as well. Because I was like, oh, okay, I'll just first they'll put a little sauce, then they'll put the normal amount, and then they'll put extra.
Yeah.
Except I wouldn't just do it with I did it with like everything. So I put like everything that I want, and it was like put light lettuce and then normal lettuce and then extra lettuce and then light mayonnaise, regular mayonnaise. Yeah.
This sandwich will be loaded. Was it? Were they like exceptionally loaded sandwiches?
They were. So I guess as much as I'm ragging on myself right now, it worked out pretty
someone
well.
Got your message. Yeah, exactly that. Oh, beautiful. You had what? Sandwich love? Sandwich fever? What did they say in this movie?
I think it was sandwich fever.
No, it wasn't.
I feel like it was.
No way. I feel
it was like sandwich fever or like sandwich sickness or something.
Oh yeah, okay, like sandwich.
Are you sandwich sick or something?
Maybe something like that. Wow, it's crazy. We just watched this movie, and I've forgotten what the opening bit was there. But it was funny when we heard it, and it's still funny now.
Yeah.
I'm going with sandwich love. You had sandwich love.
Well, we've talked about movie theaters, home viewings, and regional convenience chains.
Right.
Are you ready to talk about Fast and Furious?
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
What are your short thoughts? I think we've kind of hit this already with some of this, but yeah, if you had to describe this movie in a couple words at most, what would it be?
Pioneer.
Surprisingly grounded.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah. This is something you've heard about 3 times already, but I expected us going from F9 to Fast and Furious 1. I kind of imagined that because the stakes are so high at this point.
Right.
I kind of imagined that it would be a similar experience to maybe going on a really large roller coaster and then following that up with like going to your local like pop-up carnival at your like church and going on like one of the rides there.
Right.
And yeah, I feel like it. Actually, I don't know that necessarily holds up because I think the adrenaline was still there, but in terms of man, how quite to put this? But in terms of just over the top, unrealistic action, that was definitely the case. But that was not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, when you're talking about this movie, this one currently, yeah. I'll say, it's weird to say because, I feel kind of the same. I mean, like, Fast and Furious drove sensibly so that F9 could fly in space, I guess. But it was still rad. It was really nice. I had a lot of fun. I'm going to try to adopt some 2001, early 2000s type, expressions so that we can fit the style here.
I think, if I had to again, maybe briefly summarize this film, I would say quintessential 2000s.
Yeah, 100%. Early 2000s energy strewn throughout.
Yeah, reminiscent of early aughts.
Yeah. In both the way, the sense of humor and also the sensibilities is still there. So there's a lot of like tie loosening, like they just said/did that. I guess they went for it, more power. Yeah, it was interesting because I think that this Fast and Furious, as funny as this is going to sound, was probably the most true to the vision of what Fast and Furious kind of is / ought to be.
Yeah, I agree. Which, again, through this saga, I am very curious to see where the shark is jumped.
Yeah, because like there has to be a time where they adapted it for a more mass appeal, right? Because so much of this movie was specifically kind
towards that culture.
Yeah, exactly that. 100%, you know? And like I think honestly it was just meant for like probably monster gamers, what would be gamers today, kind of like adolescent monster drinking young men, like you know, 18 to 25.
Yeah, I remember there was a kid I used to hang out with who really liked the drink Nos and was like really liked riding dirt bikes and thought cars were the coolest.
Yeah.
And that stuff's cool. Wasn't quite my cup of tea. But yeah, no, that these... Looking back, I definitely knew he was a big Fast and Furious fan.
Yeah, well, I can only extrapolate from like the amount of friends I had, self included, even in like the early 2000s, that just loved racing games that involved turbo and stuff like Need for Speed or like Burnout or something like that. So like, I say that, but then again, I mentioned in like F9, like my uncle, who in 2001 had to have been in like his like, if not like early 40s, late 30s at least. And I guess enough people in his age group saw the film and was like, I'm monetarily comfortable enough to go buy an Eclipse Spider right now. You know?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's 10 movies. They did pretty well.
Well, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's what's curious about it, because I would expect... Clearly, it appealed somewhat outside the intended demographic, I guess, because you know they turned out enough to make it a franchise. Then again, I don't know how much of that is coasting on Vin Diesel's promise post Paul Walker's death, as we've come to learn.
That's true.
So maybe some of like the later films are kind of coasting on that, where it's like, well, we got to get to F10.
Yeah,
and I don't know when it was. Because Fast and Furious, this movie, I would not say is a movie designed for mass appeal.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, like it seems like it's
although it was very much set up for like follow-ups.
Oh, 100%.
Like this was not like let's tell this one really captivating story. Hey, if it does pretty well, maybe we'll follow it up. It was like, no, we're ending this in a very like obvious there's more to come kind of way.
Right.
And yeah,
but I think it was like kind of unapologetically meant to be like, this is going to be like almost like action films have always been, kind of, where it's just like we're unapologetically built towards testosterone fueled young male gazy type of people, and that's exactly the film we're going to have right here. And you can either enjoy it in spite of that, or you're going to love it even more because of those aspects.
That's true.
But I think it works because, and again, like the cast is like the exact age range you would want for this type of film. Like they're all within the age range that you would expect. Like they still pass this kind of like young energy off. Like Vin Diesel and crew now have to do like James Bond spy stuff, because if they tried to make this film with the cast of F9 as it stands today, it would be hilarious. It'd just be like, what are these mature old adults doing in this environment acting this way? This is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think a lot of what keeps it endearing and makes it work is the fact that the cast had that appearance and energy about them, because they had the age range and the kind of disposition to make it work at this time in this place. Yeah,
I agree. That's well said.
Yeah. At least that's why I enjoyed it personally.
You want to get into this plot?
Yeah, let's do it. How do you want to do this? I'm trying to remember the first scene.
Shit.
Oh. Nighttime truck jacking.
Yes,
is how this works.
Yes, again, early 2000s technology, worth its weight in gold.
Yes,
is being loaded into a truck, and
various DVD players and some VHSs.
And Panasonics, mind you. So this isn't
estimated worth. Do we know how much?
I think. I don't know if there was that one truck, but at some point the number like 6 million or something, several million anyway, was tossed around. I don't know if that was one specific truck or if like
speakers,
the amount
DVD players
all together. Anyway, not chump change we're talking here. We got big dollars worth of high quality electronics on these trucks.
Cutting edge, man.
And so we see these trucks then driving down the highway.
Yeah, leave the shipyard.
And then we see many souped up dragster cars.
Yeah, 4 to be exact, I believe.
Yeah. Start to surround this thing, and then they do some crazy get on the hood of their car, jump onto the truck maneuvers, and incapacitate the driver.
Yep.
And then assumedly, I said that word last time and then corrected myself.
Yeah.
Then they
You should look that up.
Then we are led to believe that they take this truckload of electronics.
Yeah. In fact, it's very interesting because the process is fairly straightforward and very deliberately set up. Like, the way they do it is they have the 4 cars surround it. First car shows up, pulls out a specialized grappling gun that smashes the passenger side windshield, pulls it out, then reloads the grappling gun with something that shoots into the passenger side seat so that one of the many heist people can go jump into the passenger seat of the truck driver. Now, this truck driver had like a baseball bat, but that wasn't enough because this person has like a high-tech tranquilizing paralysis type gun technology that knocks the driver out.
I think it was just like a gun that had a tranquilizer dart.
Okay, fair. I'll run with that.
Some high-tech, unheard of weaponry.
Some highfalutin. Yeah, all right. So fair. Knocks the driver out and then takes the truck while there's like a construction scene, and we get our first like a glimpse of cool car maneuvering while one of these really souped up low-riding sedans goes underneath in between the tires of this semi-automatic truck, as we've come to understand trucks to be. And
why must you mock me?
it's funny. I like it. I have a story relating to a similar flub with that. When Asian murder hornets first started coming over to America, I was describing to my friend how European bees don't have the defenses to take on the Asian murder hornets the way that Asian bees have. But when I was explaining it, I was like, yeah, when I was explaining it, I was like, yeah, the Asian bees have the ability to defend against it, but over here, the Asian American bees don't have the ability. I was like, I just said Asian American bees. like they came over, got like bee citizenship. Ridiculous. Anyway,
That's not easy to do these days.
Had to go through B. Ellis Island. So I'm in the boat with you for semi-automatic trucks.
Okay, so we have. Let's recap here.
Yes, they do
Semi-auto truck.
Yep, semi-auto truck.
It's got lots of expensive electronics.
Yes,
souped up cars doing crazy maneuvers. They take this truck.
Yep,
and they steal the stuff.
Yeah, and they have a successful heist.
Bam.
Yep.
All right, so then we have Paul Walker's character.
Yes.
Whose name is Brian.
Yes.
And he is in another souped up car, and this is daytime, in like a racetrack kind of place.
Yeah.
And he's
in like a ballpark parking lot or something.
Yeah, he's in a weird place. And he's just pushing his car to the limit. And he's shifting gears, he's doing stuff, and he gets to like 140 or something like that.
Right.
And then he stops real abruptly. He's like, damn it. So as soon, he's not, he might be fast, but he's not fast enough
Yeah,
yet.
140 is still below what he wants to achieve for his car's speed. He pulls up to the Toretto Diner or whatever it is.
Yeah, Toretto thing, where we see Mia, Dom's sister, who's manning the counter.
And whose name we now know.
Yeah, we know. We're learning.
Right.
And so we hear some back and forth, and we get the lowdown that Brian's been coming to this place every day now for a while.
He's really curious about the tuna quality.
Yeah, and there's no other reason.
Yeah.
And we see Vin Diesel peeking over his shoulder from the back of this weird screened off area.
Yeah. he's doing some paperwork or something in the back office that has a clear view out into the street
Yeah,
and
he's doing the
into the
taxes.
diner counter. Yeah, Vin Diesel tax man, the movie, and that's where the rest of the film takes place.
yeah.
It's really
And then we see several cars, also souped up cars. Pull up, and we see a few people get out. One of which is Letty, who we also know the name of now. And a guy named Vince, who we're introduced to.
And Letty, to be clear, is the wife or assumably
love
wife
interest
of Vin
of
Diesel.
some sort. Yeah, from F9.
Yes.
If you're following our saga.
Yeah.
And if this is your first thing, we watched F9. Now we're watching Fast and Furious 1.
Yes, we have Vin Diesel's wife
Stay
and
with
Vin Diesel's sister.
This crew of guy named Vince, Letty, and a few other people who are not really relevant pull up and more or less kind of start antagonizing. Well, Vince more specifically kind of antagonizes Brian because he feels threatened that Brian seems to be putting the moves on Mia.
Well, I mean, they all pull up and they're like, "What's this? Who's this random dude? He's been coming here the past couple of days. Like, how do we feel about him? What's his deal?" And Vince is just like, "I think it's pretty clear why he's here." And then one of them suggests he might have like sandwich fever or something.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell he says. And then, and Vince is like, "I think it's very clearly
I know
not."
nobody comes here for the tuna.
yeah, right. The tuna's bad, and we all know this. So he's not here for the tuna. It's pretty obvious why he's here. He's here for the cute girl serving the sandwiches and things like that. But Vince is real mad about this because Vince is there for the cute girl serving the sandwiches and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
he's stepping on his turf.
Yeah, jealousy starts a broiling.
Yeah, and one way or another, a fight breaks out between the two, and they take to the streets, and they're going at it.
Yeah.
To which point Mia yells to Dom, who then has to go and break up the fight.
Yep. And as soon as he breaks it up, he pushes Brian against the car, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And Brian's like, "He was in my face, man." And Vin Diesel's like, "I'm in your face." And, fair point. Clearly just being in one's face is not sufficient reason for a fight. And I think Vin Diesel portrayed that perfectly with his delivery. He's really quite the clever fella. He sees the truck, and he's like, "You work over at the repair shop?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just started today." He's like, "You were just fired today." And it's like, oh, my God. Vin Diesel clearly is a well-respected member of this community, at least in the car culture.
Oh, yeah. So then Brian ends up going to his place of work and more or less says to his boss, "Am I fired?"
Yeah, you're lucky you're such a good, knowledgeable mechanic that I could pretty much pitch to Dom that, you're just too valuable to let go right now.
And Dom is, as we've established, very well respected.
Yeah, Dom, the shop owner explains it like this, you see. He says whenever Dom comes in here and buys stuff, he comes out and everybody that has to compete with Dom comes to this shop to buy performance parts, and everybody that runs with Dom knows that this is where Dom gets his parts, so they all come here because they all know.
Cash in hand, baby.
Yeah, they pay in cash, evidently. So, the shop owner is like, my economy essentially runs on Dom buying here because wherever Dom buys, everyone else is going to buy because Dom does the best and they all want to be like Dom.
Yeah.
Yeah, to which Brian says, "I hear this information. I need NOS for my car. I've only hit 140 miles an hour, and that is the most important thing to me. You don't understand."
Nos.
Yes, so the guy at the shop is like, "We don't give people who, kind of just started in the mechanic thing, like NOS. It's not a thing for amateurs to handle. It's hard to install. It's volatile. It's just too much to handle, and I'm not so sure you have the chops to be handling it." To which Paul Walker doesn't really say something one way or the other. It's not indicated whether or not he got the NOS, really. Assuming he does, though, because he seems pretty obstinate about it.
He ends up pulling up to the underground racing.
And this is the introduction of the first mass gathering of Fast and Furious as a franchise, as a movie. And as is the rule with mass gatherings in Fast and Furious, it has to be young, attractive people doing the most spring break energy things you've ever seen in your life. So every establishing shot has to have somebody making out somewhere in the view. And there has to be cleavage as mandatory in every 5 seconds or so.
Yeah, if you were like us and you've just seen F9, that's child's play when it comes to the wild, attractive young people parties.
Oh yeah, F9 got real kind of aristocratic and like
Yeah, I tried to class it up a bit.
yeah, there's a lot more dresses and kind of like suggestive dancing, but not so much like
Explicit.
adolescent horniness. Like there's not a lot of making
Which
out.
there's a lot of that in here.
Seriously, like everybody's tongue in one way or the other, and every other person. that's what's going on. All right, look, and like every other person is just like, hey, person of opposite sex, you know what I must imply we do right now, regardless of the situation.
Sex.
And you must respond in kind, either with a flat-out rejection and emasculation of me, the person suggesting it, or somewhat openness to the suggestion. And that is seriously every single interaction between members of the opposite sex in a group setting. So that's the first one. We just kind of established that right now.
Yeah.
Car drag race event is here. The way it works, just so we can denote how this process works here, is all the street racers have their designated location, and they build some
With
streets.
their decals.
Yeah, I thought that decals is the name of like fancy designs on cars, like the veneers and stuff. I guess it's decals or something like that.
It's decals.
So they all have their fancy decals, and they're all actually pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. Like maybe I'm just a super big cornball, because when I saw these cars, I was like, yeah, those are cool. But I know for a fact if I were to drive anything remotely resembling any of those cars, I would be laughed at, rightfully so, because like to
Yeah.
drive that in the street would
Again,
be the
it's very
corniest thing.
2000s.
Very primary colors, lots of like flames and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, as Mike pointed out to me,
Gradients.
you knew that a car was going to be a good car if it had primary colors in the
neon.
engine.
Yeah, like bright neon type stuff, candy colors, things like that.
But yeah, so Brian is here, and he sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yep.
And basically, some people are kind of eyeing him up and checking out his car.
Yeah.
And at this point, Vin Diesel pulls up. They kind of do some trash talking back and forth.
Yep.
And then Brian says to Dom, Vin Diesel, he says, "Look, man, let's race." I guess everybody's racing. I'm going to race in this giant race with you. We're going to race.
He says, I am going to bet my car
Yeah.
against respect.
Yeah, he's
that
like,
I can
hey,
beat
you win, you get my car.
Yeah.
I win, I get money and respect.
But I really care about the respect.
Yeah.
And Vin Diesel's like, I mean, all right, man, if that's what you want to do, the respect is more important to most people. And that's what Paul Walker's like. I agree with that sentiment.
Yep. And then everybody's pretty much lining up, getting ready for the race.
Yeah, there's four racers.
Lots of just overflowing horniness.
Uh-huh. There's one man whose stakes for the race is the choice between standard fare, like one-on-one sexual intercourse, or three-way sexual intercourse.
If he wins.
And so those stakes have to be established for him.
Yeah.
And then the other fourth racer doesn't really care much about nothing, I guess, but he's doing some practice runs on a game system that he has in his car and immediately crashes into a wall in the simulation, so it's not boding well for him. So basically that's how it starts. So they all go to their street. All the other racers or like cool car fanatics block off the street, and a pizza guy's trying to deliver pizza, and they're like, street's closed, man. And
yeah, go earn a living wage somewhere else, bucko.
yeah, because it ain't here. And I guess this happens pretty frequently because this pizza guy's like, damn street racers. Like, I guess this happens a bunch in this here town.
And then we get a shot of somebody in a car who's listening to a police scanner, and they're essentially just waiting for the perfect moment, at which case they hear word that there has been a homicide,
police
which is
homicide.
The perfect moment for them to go ahead and race.
Because all the cops are distracted responding to this homicide. Yeah,
The police
100%.
homicide.
Yeah, this cop murder. So, 3, 2, 1, vroom, vroom, go. And they go real fast. And then Paul Walker's like, man, I'm in fourth. Time to hit the first NOS tank. Vroom, zing. Now I'm in second. And Vin Diesel is in first. And the guy who's fighting for sex stakes is in fourth, and he's real sad because he knows he has no chance now.
no.
And he shouts the name of the woman he will not get to sleep with today as he drives away. He goes, Monica! And so that's how that works. And that poor fool. And that's the end of his arc and appearance in this film. And so Paul Walker's in second, Vin Diesel's in first. And Paul Walker's like, it's time for me to hit the second NOS. But when he hits the second NOS, the computer he's brought with him is like, hey, this is going to compromise your car, essentially. I forget exactly what the phrase is.
It was like manifold danger.
Yes, manifold is exactly what it is.
To which he says, shut up, and closes the computer.
Yeah. He brought this computer to tell him what's up, and then when it does, he says, damn computer. I don't know what a manifold is.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But something fell off the car.
But the floor of his passenger side more or less falls out from the car.
I don't think that's a manifold.
No, it doesn't sound right to me. Paul Walker loses control of his vehicle, spins out, and stops. But he's just happy to be there, really. and Vin Diesel wins. Yay! So Vin Diesel comes back to assess the damage to his own vehicle now, as we've established. And Paul Walker gets out and is smiling like a damn fool. And Vin Diesel's like, what are you smiling about? And Paul Walker's like,
I almost had you.
like, man, I almost won. That's crazy. And Vin Diesel's like, almost won. The damage you've done to this car, this is amateur hour. Look what you did. You couldn't even like keep your car intact or keep control of it.
And then, whoop, whoop.
Is that cop sounds?
Yeah, the police show up and crash the party,
Yeah.
to which everybody scrambles like cockroaches.
Yeah, we get a shout that gives one beat for cops, cop, and then just in case you missed it, goes cop, 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 cop.
Yeah,
And so people start running, scattering, like,
driving.
yeah, driving, driving like mobile cockroaches.
So Vin Diesel ends up running from a cop, and he does some sick drifting maneuvers and hides out in a parking garage where the police officer just drives by. And then he's in the clear. He gets out of his car, and he's like, yeah, I'll just leave it here. I'll come back for it some other time. Let me just walk out. And then, however, the police officer, despite recognizes Dom enough to know him when he sees him without his car.
Right.
So which he goes, Toretto!
Right.
And then he starts chasing him in his car. Then Vin Diesel does some sick on-foot action.
He starts running, and he's not breaking any 40 records.
Yeah, he's running, and it's not looking too good for him.
No.
And then a car pulls up, and
Not a car.
a car pulls up, and Vin Diesel's like, oh, somebody is here to save me.
Right.
And it's none other than Paul Walker there to save the day.
Yeah.
So he gets he picks up Vin Diesel, does some sick maneuvering around police cars and such, and they end up making it off into the distance.
Yeah. But what is the distance if not accidentally encroaching on territory that Dom agreed to stay out of?
Uh-oh.
Yes, so now some motorbikes pull up and start kind of like waving guns, and they're like, pull over, you know the rules. And so they pull over, and Paul Walker seems confused.
He's like, what are the rules?
Vin Diesel does not seem confused. And then a fella pulls up, and they all reveal their masks, and there's some kind of like
Johnny Tran.
Yeah, Johnny Tran, who I guess like runs like Asia Town part of this like LA area, because he runs like the crew of like Asian people that are all like, hey, we're the crew of Asian people, and so that's what we're up to, and you've encroached on our territory, Dom. And Dom's like, hey man, we just got lost, we were running from the police, don't you worry about it. And Johnny Tran's like, yeah, well, you know the rules, like, stay out of it. So he drives away, and he's like, I'll see you in the desert next week, and they go off. Only
but
to
then
return.
they change their mind and they come back and shoot the car until it blows up.
Yep, and so the car gets completely wrecked. And then Dom turns to Paul Walker, and he's like, you owe me a 10-second car, which is something.
A fast car. I
Yes,
assume.
yeah, it seems like a fast car to me. So Dom and Paul arrive back at the Toretto residence, where it is the second mass gathering of Fast and Furious. So spring break energy reigns supreme once more. Lots of kissing, lots of dancing, and Vince is there drinking, and Dom comes in. accompanied by Paul Walker, to which Vince, the fellow that Paul Walker fought in the first part of this film, is like, hey, that guy is my adversary. We fought, and he likes the girl I like, so I don't like him on principle. And so Dom's like, hey, man, yeah, he's here. And so Vince goes, why is he here, though? And you know, Vin Diesel does not like this question because he's been abandoned by his entire crew, and the rando who just lost his car came through for Vin Diesel when nobody else did. So he shouts as much at Vince. He's like, hey, you abandoned me. He didn't. He brought me home. So yeah, think about that, Vince. Is this your beer? And so, and so Vince has his beer and goes, yes, Dom, that is my beer. Dom grabs said beer
and
walks back,
away. Yeah.
Yep, walks back to Paul Walker, hands him Vince's beer, and goes, enjoy that. It's Vince's beer. And Paul Walker looks
Not
Vince.
before breaking up some more horniness around the party.
Yeah. Dom's like, you're getting really touchy-feely. Take it to a more private room, not on like the dining room table, you know, and stuff like that. So he goes over to Paul Walker and hands him his beer, and is like, hey, this is Vince's beer.
What's
Enjoy
this
it.
movie rated?
And Paul, find out, I guess, it has to be PG-13. There's no, like, F-bombs and no overt sexual stuff. Yeah, no, like, nudity or anything like that. Just a lot of fondling and tongue stuff, which sounds pretty PG-13 to me. Yeah. So Paul Walker looks Vince dead in the eyes, wipes the beer bottle with his shirt, a universal sign of ew, germs. And so Paul Walker then drinks the beer confidently, and Vince is, ooh, he's mad. Yeah. So Dom sits down. He's pretty tired. He's pretty exhausted. And Letty comes up, and she's like, hey, Dom, you seem really tired and kind of upset. Let's go upstairs and give me a massage. And so they go do that. And Dom's like, hey, Paul, buddy, like, you owe me that car. Don't forget about it. So he goes upstairs, and Paul Walker turns around, and this is when Mia, the sister that sees the cute boy, has been coming over all the time and fought that one dude and was at the races and things like that. She's like, hey, I like this guy. So she's like, hey, let's go in the kitchen and get me something to drink. To which Paul Walker's like, what do you want? She says, anything that's cold, and he gets her a Snapple peach tea. So that concludes the party day. Now, Paul Walker is on his way home from the party and gets pulled over. Bum, 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 bum. It was discovered during Vin Diesel and Paul Walker's brief interaction in the car running from the police that Paul Walker has a record. He did 2 years for carjacking, more or less, when he was younger. And Vin Diesel also did 2 years for nearly killing a man. So they bond over their jail time. So we know Paul Walker has a record, and I guess he's here to get harassed by the police. So he gets pulled over, arrested, taken to a very bougie kind of Hollywood Hills house. And he's like, man, you cops even do it big in Hollywood, I guess. That's just how they run. So they turn around and they go, okay, O'Connor, what do you got on the DVD players and stuff? And it is revealed here that Paul Walker
Is an undercover cop.
He's a cop. Dun, dun, dun. So his superior is like, yeah, we're running down these TVs, and then overly aggressive FBI comes in, and he's like, this is our jurisdiction, we're the FBI, and this is our case, we're running it.
And the truckers are pissed.
Yeah, the truckers. Can we just touch on the truckers real quick? I don't know what the place of the truckers are supposed to be, but the FBI fella seems real concerned that the truckers, if the cops don't find out who stole these DVDs, are fixing to take matters into their own hands.
Vigilante style.
As they're known to do, I guess. The truckers are not to be trifled with. They can't be controlled. They're crazy, I say. The FBI tries to get these things done by the books, but the truckers, they don't have no patience for crime in this city.
They don't have a lot of time. These truckers are pissed.
Yeah, the truckers, they won't handle much more of these jackings, so we better figure out who stole these DVD players, O'Connor. And I'm the FBI, so remember, no matter how aggressive I am and how much of a dick I am, I'm your superior, because that's how the feds work, baby.
Yeah.
So Paul Walker is like, all right, I'm a cop, all right, I'm figuring things out, let's do it. Oh, by the way, I need another car. So Paul Walker pulls up next day to Dom Toretto's mechanics garage, baby, where Letty, Vince, crew, Dom, and I think Mia's also there, maybe?
Yes.
Cool.
She is.
So he pulls up and has a complete Garbo vehicle, just like wrecked lemon, real lemon, completely totaled. And Dom goes, what in God's name is that?
And he's like, trust me, man, this is a good car. You got to have faith in me. And he's like, I have faith in you, but that car is garbage. And he's like, oh, yeah? Take a look under the hood.
What?
And then Jesse, the mechanic, takes a look under the hood. And he says, oh, shit, this is a turbocharged 1.23 double under super flat engine.
Grade 10, 2005, 6 cubes.
And they're like, hell yeah.
Oh, my God. That's incredible. They're like, hey, we're going to repair it in time because this better be a sub-10 car because we have a meeting in the desert in a week's time.
Yeah.
This car is going to be built up
for the race war.
for the race war.
And for any of you listeners at home, let us assure you, this is not the race war in the sense that it is a war of the races,
Right.
but more so it is a war for racing.
Yeah, even though we do acknowledge that this is pretty much the Latino bloc versus the Asian bloc, this is not a race thing. I mean, it is a race, not that race thing. It's like, why would they do this, man? It is an event centered
around. This is the second episode that we've done within a week where we had to say it's not a race thing. Okay, it is a race thing.
It's a race thing, not in that sense. It is an event centered around racing motor vehicles, not an event centered around distinguishing the differences between ethnicities over baseless lines.
Semantics.
Yes. Okay, so race wars are coming up in a week's time. He's like, what's that? And they're like, we're competing. Race time, baby. Like, we got to get this car built up, and it better be good because we got to win these races.
Yeah.
So he's like, go check out with Jesse to see what the plan for the car is. So he sits down with Jesse, and he's like, all right, Jesse, let's see what's up. So he's doing some computer imagery, and he's like, here's what the car is going to look like when it's all finished. We get some of this in there, we'll lose 2 pounds. We get some of that in there, we'll gain 10 miles an hour per second. This car will be better. And Paul Walker nods and goes, yeah, it will be. This is some real innovative stuff you're doing, Jesse. What's the deal?
You're a genius.
You should be at, like, MIT.
At which Jesse then discloses that he believes that he has a disorder that I believe is no longer considered a disorder anymore. But anyway, he describes himself to have ADD, but he definitely seems much more that he would be on the autism spectrum.
Yeah. He mentions that he was very exceptional at math, and no other subject was really making sense to him. And somehow when he discovered engineering cars, more or less, like working on engines and modifying cars, he found it was essentially the language that he was born to speak. It gelled with him and he understood it immediately, which sounds much more like the description of someone on the autistic spectrum as opposed to someone with an attention deficit disorder. It's very weird to hear a dude be like, I couldn't go to MIT, man. I have ADD.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, what?
Yeah, again, very early 2000s.
Yeah, very strange. But I mean, like, yeah, if it were today, the character was written very much in the sense that it really does seem fairly representative of somebody with a very specialized kind of autistic type of disposition on the spectrum there. So, I mean, yeah, cool. Like, he's really shown to be kind of like the Einstein of the cars, you know, like he really does modify real well. Maybe not the greatest driver.
This guy knows his way around an engine, and that's what you got to know.
Yeah, so he's like an essential mechanic to the crew, and, you know, kind of like a good old, you know, he's the little brother. Everyone cares about Jesse. He's you know, he's nice. He's a real nice fella. And Dom cares for him like the rest of the team, you know, but you could tell he feels like almost like older brother kind of mentorship over him and really appreciates having him around. So that's Jesse's backstory getting established here and now.
Yeah.
And so Jesse and Dom end the day there. Toretto and Paul are talking in Toretto's garage, and Mia's there, and Toretto's explaining the history behind this very beautiful muscle car he has in his driveway. And Paul Walker's like, what's the deal with this muscle car? And Toretto's like, it was my father's. It's 500 tons of pure Detroit muscle, baby. vroom, and he says it just like that. And and so Paul's like, "What's the story?" And he's like, "That's my father in that photo over there. Racetrack.
Die.
He was driven into the wall by his adversary,
Kenny something.
Mark or something like that. Yeah, Kenny Mark." Kenny Markson Walker. And yeah, basically pretty much the exact scene as depicted in F9, which is pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, good on him. We were very impressed by that.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's like, then I took a 3/4 torque wrench and beat him. I didn't intend to keep beating him, but so
But I did it.
Yeah, exactly. So he went to
This old wrench of mine.
Yeah. I'm gonna let it shine. But yeah, so he explains how he went to jail for 2 years because of that. And so Paul Walker's like, so what? You don't drive the car? And Toretto's like, honestly, it scares the hell out of me. When my dad tried to drive it, he twisted the chassis just on the torque alone. It's a powerful, powerful car. And I don't know that I'm quite proud or man or old or experienced enough to handle it quite yet. Fill in whatever you want for Don Toretto's feelings there.
Paul Walker is at his job at the mechanics place where all the cool cats go to get their racing parts.
Yes.
And some people of the not Asian crew, the like Latino crew, pull up and they're like, hey, we want 3 of each of these. And I can only assume it's like the top-notch best parts.
It's like NOS tanks and special catalytic converters. I'm just naming car parts.
Yeah, it's
real
got
good.
Like the heater
Tire
core.
caps. Yeah.
No skid tires. Anyway, they get
responsible winterizing equipment.
so they get all that nice high quality equipment.
Yeah.
And Brian Walker's Brian. I keep doing that.
Please no, Brian. I forget what his character's last name is.
Brian O'Connor.
No, but like his undercover name.
Yeah, I forget.
I'm going
anyway.
Schlop. Paul Schlop.
It sounds like a serial killer.
It sounds like a serial killer, yes.
So then Paul Walker then sees that this group, this gang here, is getting all these souped up parts, and he's kind of suspicious.
Yeah, because he's like, when do you need these parts? And they're like, I don't know, tomorrow, today, right now.
So
3
Paul
of all
Walker,
of them.
He's getting a little suspicious here.
Now it's sundown. And a lot of the members of some of the people in the race wars, not part of Johnny Tran's team, but like just other people who are going to be part of the race wars, are gathering at the Black Cat is the name of the area. It seems like an outdoor hot dog stand type place, and they're all kind of gathered around. And so this is when Brian / O'Connor, undercover cop, is going to break into their garage to see if he can find any trace of these DVD players that have been hijacked and stolen. Check their cars, see if there's any identifying markers, get some license plates, do some intel. So he breaks in. Recon, baby, like cops do. And so he breaks into the garage real stealth-like, but not stealth-like enough. Because who should appear to hit him, to stop him, but
Vince.
Yeah, of all the people, that has to be the guy who personally does not like him very much at all. No, sir. Shotgun in hand, Vince has. And so I'm trying to make sure I'm trying to work on my grammar. I don't want to end in a prepositional phrase. Although I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I just did. Vince has in his hand a shotgun.
And then who emerges from the shadows other than Dom?
Yeah, he drags Brian a couple, meters.
And who emerges from the shadow other than Dom?
Yeah, so Dom goes, this is one of those times where you're going to want to be real particular with your words.
I want you to nod if you understand. And then he sits there motionless, to which Vince says, nod!
Regardless of understanding, just nod. And so Brian nods and has to be real quick thinking here because he has to come up with a story that sounds plausible, that is, I'm not a cop. And so Vince goes, he's a cop, man. obviously he's a cop. He snoops around like a cop. He acts and kind of holds a demeanor of a cop. I'm telling you, this guy's a cop. He doesn't seem like he believes there's any accountability for him, like a cop. Anyway, so Paul Walker comes up with this story, and he's like, hey, man, look, race wars are important. You know I can't lose.
Yo, I'm all about that race war.
The race war is important. You know I cannot lose another race. I lost publicly to you before, and so I need to tell you right now, in this moment, that the guys whose cars I'm going to snoop on right now came into my shop today and ordered 3 NOS tanks, really responsible winterizing gear. I'm telling you, they mean business. And Vin Diesel's like, so what? Your game plan is to go break into every garage of people who are competing with us at the race war, and you're going to snoop on their cars one by one to try to get some intel on them? To which Brian says,
yes.
Vin Diesel considers this and just has to know the truth, so he asks the bulletproof question of all bulletproof questions.
Are you a cop?
You know, you have to tell me if you are one.
That's the law.
You can't say one. And I don't think he answers directly like, no. He's just like, we got to get these cars or something like that.
And then Vin Diesel's like, let's go for a ride.
Yeah, it's exactly what he does. And
I don't remember where they go.
Yeah, neither do I. They go for a ride to the Trans, Johnny Trans.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if his whole crew, well, I don't know what his crew is called. Johnny Tran, he has a garage that they go to. So they're like, all right, let's go snoop. Let's do it. So they look in their cars, and they're like, there's no engines in these cars. And they look up, and O'Connor sees what else but a lot of DVD players and some VCRs and stuff. It's all the stolen equipment, baby. So he sees it, and he's like, man, this is some compelling evidence to check in on, you know, just to make sure we have a sound, firm case. But I'll report this. To which their lookout in their car, it's not Jesse, it's not Vince, and it's not Letty, so that's the 4th member. And he goes, hey, man, we got the Trans. They're coming back. Dude, I can't keep saying that. That sounds real offensive. That sounds real fucking bad. I
have this context here.
Dude.
It's not like anybody would take this audio bite and put it anywhere.
Yeah, but like,
where it could be used in a
dude.
Harmful context.
It is
against my friend Mike.
Look, man. God damn you, 2001, and your weird sensibility.
I'm gonna edit. I'm gonna edit voice clips of you to be like, I hate trans.
Fuck you, dude. They use the F slur and all that. It's
trans people.
It's real. There's no way you're going to get a distinct soundbite of me saying people.
There's no way you could trick me into saying I hate trans people.
Yeah, so the crew is coming back. The crew of Johnny Tran is returning. Johnny Tran included. So Johnny Tran and crew. God damn it. Is coming back. So everyone hides. All right, so Paul and Vince and Vin all hide, and they're like, all right, let's see what's going on. So Johnny Tran and crew come in with the fellow who assumably sold them the cars, and they shove his face in the engine block where the engine would be, and they go, hey, what do you see here? And he goes, nothing. And they go, what do you see? And he goes, nothing. And they go, what do you see? And he goes, nothing. And so they throw him down, and they say, what are you thinking? 40 weight? 50 weight? And his little lackey says 40 weight sounds good to me. So they start pumping oil through this little like tube thing and essentially waterboard this fella with oil. Oil boarding, yeah. And they're like, where's the engines? What's the deal? And he essentially says, like, I'll get you the engines or whatever. And they're like, you damn well better, because what the hell is this? You figure you're going to, like, upmark them just before the race war, and you're going to try to sell it to us in our desperation? And he goes, no, it's, I'm sorry. I'll get you the engine blocks. And they go, hey, cool, good. So that's the end of that.
He lets the FBI police people know. He says, hey, I got some information. I think I got our guy. It's Johnny Tran.
Right.
Then nice little get together.
Well, he says more or less, he's like, I saw like DVD players of what we're looking for in Johnny Tran's in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just all I have. I don't know for sure. There's no proof or anything like that, like solid. But the DVD players are in that garage, so I'm just reporting information. That's what we got. And the FBI guy is like, we got to move on him now. We got to do it. And he's like, that doesn't seem reasonable to me, more or less. And the FBI's guy is like, what are we waiting for? This is ridiculous. Like, no, let's do it. Let's move on him. And he's like, we don't have the firm evidence yet. Because that's kind of like a point that they make there for a little bit there, to know that Paul Walker's like, it's not a sure thing. And the FBI guy is like, what else do we need? It's clear. And so just a little note there before the dinner.
So then they have a nice dinner together.
Yeah.
And then Vince goes off, but then comes back and has a really weird demeanor that is never quite explained.
Yeah.
Definitely seems like he might be on substances of some kind.
Drunk or something. Just kind of aggressive, kind of jerkish. And everyone kind of seems like put off by his general presence and disposition. They're like, whatever, man. Like, whatever. He's like, I decided to come have some food. And they're like, all right, cool.
Have some food.
Yeah.
And then there's a nice little movie night gathering at the Toretto household, to which Paul Walker and Mia start getting a little cozy together and start being a little flirtatious.
Yeah, they're cleaning the dishes,
That's flirting if I ever saw it.
Yeah, Mia's cleaning the dishes, and Paul's like, where I come from, Arizona, we don't have people who did the cook and clean the dishes,
And Mia says, right. I'd like to go there, Arizona.
I'd like to go to that magical land.
So they're having a nice little moment, clearly some chemistry happening.
Yeah.
And then Vince decides to come make some popcorn.
Damn right.
And he sees this, and the intimidation factor comes up.
Yeah.
To which Mia notices this, and she's like, oh, man, Vince, what was that place that you and I went to? Oh, we had such a good time. What was that? And he's like, oh, yeah, the restaurant on the Blood Street.
Yep.
She's like, oh, yeah. And then she turns to Brian, and she says, oh, how about you take me there Friday at 10 o'clock?
Eastern.
To which he almost looks a little uncomfortable as Vince gets angry.
Yeah, like he sees the move that was
walks
just pulled.
off.
Yeah, exactly. So Vince is offended, leaves, and Paul's like, I'll totally take you there. Like, let's do it. Hell yeah.
And then I think flash forward to said date. So they end up at this restaurant, and they're clearly having a good old time. Yeah. And then Mia's like, you want to go for a drive? Because that's where the real bonding happens in these movies. And they go for a drive, and they bond, and it's nice.
And she drives real wicked fast, and she does like drifting and stuff. She's real cool.
And then we cut to a kind of groggy Brian waking up to a phone call. He answers it, and it's FBI people.
Yeah.
And they say, look, man, we got to do this bust now on Johnny Tran. Like, what do you say?
Right.
And he's like, okay. Well, if we got to do it, we got to do it. To which then Mia sits up next to him in the bed, indicating
reveal.
that something happened between the two of them.
Their date went very well.
Mm-hmm. And then you know that he likes her for more than sex because he looks longingly into her eyes before kissing her.
Because even at 4 a.m, half groggy, he thinks she's the most beautiful person he's ever seen. And they have that very like love-dovey type of like, hey, hey. And then they make out and like lay back down and stuff.
Yeah, and then Brian is then getting ready for his bust.
So as Paul Walker gets ready for his bust on Johnny Tran, I don't know why he's present for this, frankly. I brought this up during the film, and I'm like, dude, I would not be there for this. This seems ridiculous. But anyway, so we get like a back-and-forth ping-pong scene set up where Letty and Dom are building the car, getting ready for race wars. And then they stop working on the car to have sexy time, and they do that, and so they start making out and stuff like that because spring break energy reigns supreme.
Yeah.
When you're not driving, if there's not some kind of like tongue vision in like every 30 minutes of this film, at least, like it's just not doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
by Fast and Furious standards.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure when we reach back to F9, we'll have to talk about the stunning disappointment. But then again, it would feel so much more strange if them at current age and time did this movie again. Oh boy. But no,
they swapped it out for crazy action.
Yeah, they aged and matured with the films, you know. But yeah, so that while Paul Walker goes and busts Johnny Tran. Those are those two scenes. After the bust with Johnny,
bust some good.
Yeah, after the bust with Johnny Tran, Paul Walker is back, post celebration of the arrest or what have you, and the FBI fella's like, Johnny Tran purchased all those DVD players and VHSs legally. Oh God,
man.
His family paid for all of them. He didn't steal them at all. And the FBI
guess what? His family bailed him out, and he's pissed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they bailed him out. He's completely fine. He's free to go. Like, the only thing we could bust him on is minor weapons possession, and that's just not going to fly here. Yeah, and speeding tickets. And you see, the problem with this is we can't give him unreasonable jail sentences because he's not black, so our racial injustice doesn't apply here, you see. And so you go, you know what? Yeah, that's probably it. They don't say that, but, I mean, it's implied by the fact that he's not doing severe jail time for a relatively minor offense.
Yeah.
So, basically, the FBI agent turns to Paul Walker and he goes, "Is this the quality of intel I can come to expect from you, O'Connor? This is going in your report." And O'Connor, very indignant, turns around and goes, "You're trying to pin this on me?" And the FBI goes, "I can pin this on whoever the hell I want. That's the privilege of my position." Yeah, damn right, O'Connor. And O'Connor's like, "Man, you're not seriously gonna." And then that's when his leader like takes him out and is like, "You can't stand up to do whatever." So like his sergeant or whatever takes him out, and he's like,
"We know."
He's like, it's Toretto. We know it's Toretto. How long are you going to pretend it's not Toretto? I can't tell if you're intentionally covering for him or if you're just blind because of Mia. And Paul Walker's like, "Yo, don't talk like that. I don't know what you're talking about." And he's like, "Go cut the shit and get the conviction. Find the evidence, get it on it. We know it's Toretto, so bring him in." And Paul Walker's like, "Damn, you're totally right. I know you're right. I haven't seen it, Sarge. I'm sorry." All right, well, let's do this thing. And now it's time
for the race war.
Now this is pretty much the third and largest mass gathering of the film. So same rules apply. Establishing shots have to have two people making out. This one has the most Spring Break energy, and where there's an entire shot dedicated strictly to
a wet T-shirt.
Yeah, like a thin blonde woman lowering her pants to reveal a thong, and a white shirt being sprayed with two hoses. I honestly have no idea what this has to do with race wars, but that's what they want to do.
Almost immediately to follow that up, in case to say, all right, look, we know that might be a little demeaning. Here's a badass woman to show up. Yeah. So then you have Letty pulling up in her car, and then there is a very rude gentleman in the car next to her.
I say,
he says, "Madam, I say, how about I race you, and if I win, you have sex with me?" To which she says, "No, but I'll race you for $2,000." And he says, "Quite."
Yeah, basically, she's like, "If you want to have sex, go pay for it."
Oh.
Yeah, because that's the only way you get in any. What?
Oh.
That's seriously how the insults fly in this film. It is quintessential 2000. They race, and he has no nos, and she does have nos, and just whoops him because of it.
Yeah.
So now Johnny Tran pulls up, and someone's racing Johnny Tran. Oh, wait a minute. We know exactly who's racing Johnny Tran because it's Jesse, our boy. He's pulling up, and Paul Walker's like, "Oh, my God, you're racing him?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm racing him. Plus, I'm doing it for pink slips like you did it for. I'm betting my car." And
but
Paul
not
Walker's
just my car.
Yeah, Paul Walker's like, "Dude, that car, it's your dad's car. It's like the car that you two are going to bond over once he gets out of jail. Like, you can't put that on the line here." And Jesse's like, "I can put it on the line.
And I will.
Because I'm not losing to Johnny Tran, the main antagonist of this film thus far. No way I'm losing to him."
And so then he loses to him.
He loses to him and has a hard time with it. And so drives off into the distance, and Johnny Tran's like, yo, where is he taking my car to Dom? And Dom's like, don't worry, he's going to get it washed for you. And so Johnny Tran's like, yeah, well, you go fetch my car. And Dom's like, fetch your car? We ain't on your territory this time, Tran. You better watch who you're talking to with that manner of speech.
And he's like, you're a narc. You narked me out.
Yeah, he's like,
to which
Dom
takes great offense to this.
Yeah, so they start fighting because Dom's like, dude, you accuse me of being a narc? That's the worst crime you could do.
And then Paul Walker kind of just like looks...
loosens his tie.
Yeah.
Cops. Who said anything about cops?
I'm not a cop.
The heat's on. And when I say heat, I mean...
I hate cops. I kill cops.
Yeah, but you can't... What? Now it's like nighttime is befalling. It's like race war, end of day one. And so Paul Walker goes to Mia's trailer and it's like, all right, I'm going to go talk to Mia.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mia's not in the trailer, and he hears some arguing between Mia and Dom outside. And so he looks out the windows, and Dom and Mia's like, you're not you can't leave. What are you doing? And Dom's like, I got to go do this right now. So him and the crew leave, and Mia comes back in the trailer, and this is when Paul Walker is like, where's Dom going? I know that you do like VHS DVD lifts. Like, tell me where it's going down. Like, I need to go track Dom now. And Mia's like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is nonsense. And this is when Paul Walker's like, Mia, I'm a cop. Remember how I was saying I wasn't a cop before? I lied. That was not true. But you know what was true?
My love for
My
you.
feelings.
And she's just like, oh, no.
Oh, my
Fuck
God.
you,
Your
cop.
feelings. She's like, oh, your feelings.
But then he's like, and I know that Dom is stealing the DVD players, and this is your only chance to help him.
Yeah.
So help me help him to help you.
So if you tell me where he's going, we can go track him down before the SWAT gets there and before the truckers. God help us all, the truckers.
Mia reluctantly decides to help Brian try to get Dom out of this.
Yeah. So they're going, and she's like, she reveals the location of where the heist is going down. And so John has nothing. John? Who the hell is John? So Paul and Mia are on the road, and he's like, man, I know where the heist is going down, but all I have is this road atlas map. And he's like, the highway's too patrolled. This side road wouldn't get there nearly in time. What does that leave us with? Oh, man, I have no idea what road we're going to be going down. And then he snaps his fingers, and he opens up his phone, and he's like, this is Officer Connor. I need a track on a cell phone. And the lady on the other end is like, what's the number of the cell phone you wish to track? And so this is when Paul is like, Mia, what's Dom's phone number?
And she, oh no, I don't know if I can do this. Mia, we need that number.
We need the numbers. The truckers, Mia.
And then she gives the number.
Yeah, she listed off 555-5556. And so, you know, tracking successful. Go 40 minutes forward. And so they do that. And they drive and they drive and they drive. So now we go to the truck heist, part 2.
Oh, shit.
We've seen exactly how this goes, and it is the exact same plan. Rip out the passenger
the most,
side
like,
window.
action-packed scene in this
Oh,
movie.
100%. Because this time, the trucker's prepared.
Yeah.
And not just with a flimsy baseball bat, baby. He's packing steel.
Yeah, so Dom ends up, he's got Vince in his car, and they do their classic... pull out the grapple gun.
Double grapple.
Yeah, fuck up the windshield, get the other one into the seat,
Yeah.
and then hop onto the hood.
Damn right. But now the shotgun comes out.
Yeah, so he hops onto this hood, and while he's trying to gather his footing, the driver pulls out his shotgun.
And Vin Diesel sees this and tries to call him back, but it's too late. Bullets start flying. And so Vince has to like kind of duck, loses his footing, and gets swung around to the passenger side door of the truck while it's in motion.
Yeah, because this like zip line grapple thing is like linked to his belt or something. So he's like wrapped up there.
And now his arm's caught in it as well.
And it's bloody and it's not good. First, Letty's like, I'll distract him. And then she does some... to which then she just gets her back windshield shot out. She's like, shit!
Yeah. She's like, I'll draw his fire, and he fires at her.
She's
and
like,
she
oh my
goes,
God, he fired at me. What the hell?
Oh my God. And so she then decides, you know what? I'll go save Vince now. So she does the limbo magic, goes over, gets rammed off the side of the road, does a couple flips, is in bad shape, man. Bad shape she is.
And like throughout this, like Dom's car is like shitting out. It keeps
Getting shot.
yeah, it's not doing good.
So Dom decides to give his final attempt at saving Vince. Can't do it. Gets run off the road. But not magically, in a completely sensible manner, Paul Walker and Mia's car has arrived on the scene, and Paul Walker's like, I'm going to save Vince, baby.
And he drives up, baby.
And he does it.
And he has Mia take the wheel while he jumps over and he gets Vince and more or less throws him over into the car while just narrowly being out of range of the shotgun.
Yeah. And saves Vince successfully.
Yay!
And then gets run off the road. The trucker gets away. Truckers Union comes through again. God damn, are they efficient. And so, Letty having a hard time. Vince having a harder time. Because I think one of the lackeys took Letty and bailed. So now it's Dom, Vince in pain, Mia, and Brian. And so Brian's like, man, Vince isn't going to make it. Time for me to reveal I'm a cop for the second time here. Throw a phone call to the medics. And he's like, it's me, Officer O'Connor. Get medics out here. And he's describing what happens as Vin Diesel.
He's putting the pieces together, and he is.
The pieces together.
He's not the brightest man. He's
like
slowly.
It takes some time. He hears like it's Officer Connor. It's like
Wait a second,
Officer Connor, Officer Connor,
and he is
Officer
pissed.
Officer.
But he knows that Vince is more important right now, so he doesn't unleash his fury
or his fastness.
The medic helicopter pulls up to take Vince away.
Yep.
And Vin Diesel gets in the car and drives away.
with the other lackey and Letty, who have pulled up to pick up Vince and Mia. And so Paul Walker's standing by the helicopter and is like, Mia, you know I love you, and I'm sorry that it had to come to this, and I don't want to leave the magic we have here. To which Vin Diesel's like, Mia, come on. So she like looks both directions and has a bit of a debate before she goes to Vin Diesel, and it's like, God damn it, O'Connor, why did it have to be this way? And so she leaves, and so they drive off. To which now O'Connor is like, all right, well, everything's resolved. Wait a minute, Jesse.
So then he drives to the Toretto residence, where we then see Dom with a shotgun, ready to get in his muscle car and work things out the only way he knows, street justice style.
Yeah, because this wasn't explicitly stated, but now it is officially inferred that Jesse did not come back to give Johnny Tran the car that is now rightfully Johnny Tran's and is running. And Johnny Tran does not appreciate this fact very much at all and is going to get his car the only way he knows how, by murdering the current driver and taking his car back. To which Dom says, well, if my crew is going to get murdered, that's not going to happen. I'm going to murder an entire gang of people chasing one of my crew members because I'm Dom goddamn Toretto and I can pull it off. And so Paul Walker is like,
I'm Brian goddamn O'Connor.
I'm a cop.
And I have a gun pointed at you.
He says,
Put
Dom,
the gun down.
Put your gun down. I'm a cop. I have monopoly on use of force. Put your gun down. This is the only way I know how this goes. And so Dom goes, man, you know this is the only thing I can do it. And Dom goes, I will call the cops on the crew that Johnny Tran has sent to come kill Jesse. They'll reach them before you ever do. So let them handle this and Jesse can be free, you know? And Dom goes, no, that's not going to be the case at all. And then
Jesse pulls up and he's frantic. He's like, Dom, man, I don't know what to do. Oh, man. And then Dom's like, come on, man. Like, it's okay. We got to work this out. And then here comes Johnny Tran and his lackeys. Or is it just Johnny Tran's
I think it's just
lackeys?
two of Johnny Tran's lackeys.
And here comes Johnny Tran's lackeys.
On motorbikes.
And they do a sick drive-by. Pow, 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 which takes, fortunately, no casualties. except for Jesse.
Who counts as a casualty, unfortunately.
Yeah, Jesse dies, and this
Yeah.
pisses off Vin Diesel even further.
He never got to go to MIT.
So then Brian then gets in his car and starts chasing after these bad boys.
Yeah, because he's like, hey, man, now it's a murder, so I'm going to go commit a counter murder, I guess.
Because I'm a police and counter murders are okay.
Oh, I know. So Dom sees this and is like, well, I can't let Brian be the only one going to hunt down Jesse's killers, and it's time for me to complete my arc and get in my daddy's muscle car.
And there's two guys, so logically there should be two guys.
Yeah, so as Brian is going to chase these motorbike guys down, they notice that there's one car tailing them, and they go, defense plan A, and one of the motorbike guys peels off and reappears behind Brian's car, and they say, no, we're behind and in front of him, and he can't ward off our gunfire from both directions. But before they can execute their plan, Vin Diesel pulls a wicked swerve and takes out one of the motorbike fellas. And so one of the motorbike fellas has officially been run off the road by Vin Diesel, runs off a cliff, wipes out a little bit. Vin Diesel goes and looks and stares down the cliff to ensure that the man he just ran off the road is okay.
And then he's like, you know what, we're even. And then he gets back in his car.
You murdered my friend, and you seem like you're a bit bruised right now. So you'll carry that with you.
Take that to the bank.
So Paul Walker is tailing the other motorbiker and getting real close. He's getting real close, and he's going. He slams on the brakes.
Pulls out his pistol and pop, 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 and then shoots the guy 3 times in the middle of the street.
Just completely kills him. Just shoots him in the torso 3 times. This guy gets shot 3 times in the torso, wipes out, runs into a wall, and Paul Walker gets out of his car.
He has the audacity to check his pulse.
Checks his pulse.
To which then he runs back to his car while yelling to civilians, which, by the way, I didn't see a single pedestrian, so we're just assuming that somebody decided to get out of their car and check this. He says, call 911, and then drives off.
Like, get an ambulance. What I like is he goes and checks his pulse, and then when it doesn't look good for the guy he just shot 3 times, he gives a little bit of like a regretful sigh. He's like,
I probably could have thought about that a little harder.
Like, I can't believe he's in such bad condition after I shot him 3 times.
Yeah, and then Brian goes to the most important place after killing a man, a race with Dom.
Yeah, so they meet back up, which is weird. I seriously have no idea what the motivation for this moment is. But yeah, so Brian and Dom meet up at a light. And Brian, I guess, is inquisitive. It's like, how are we going to deal with this, Dom? And Dom just starts giving him some backstory. And he's like, when I was in high school, I'd come down to this raceway, this makeshift raceway every single day. You see those train tracks out in the distance? They are exactly
0.25 miles.
Is that what he says?
Yeah, it's a quarter of a mile.
Yeah, a quarter mile. He's like, they're exactly a quarter mile away from this traffic light. As soon as it turns green, I'm going for it. And Brian says, this is the way it must be. But you know what also is crossing those train tracks as soon as that light turns green?
A train. Yeah, so then they have a very intense race where Dom's car at the last second just kind of blows out. And then
some repairs he forgot to make in like the 20 years since his father's death.
Yeah, so then Vin Diesel's car is just going into the shitter. But don't worry, he's got one trick up his sleeve. And so he and Brian, Paul Walker are neck and neck. Just this train is just inches away. And then Nos saves the day, and they both fire across the railroad, and then they make it across, and then they look across their passenger seats to each other to see that the other one has made it across. They give each other a nod of affirmation before Vin Diesel is hit by a truck and does about 3 flips.
Vin Diesel, while looking at Paul Walker to smile kindly, did not realize that his truck had pulled out a little bit further than it was supposed to in its cross section, and he just completely rams right into this fucking semi. And so his car gets totaled and spins a bit. And so Paul Walker stops his car and goes to check on Vin Diesel as he gets out of the car, and, you know, his left arm's probably dislocated and he's bleeding a bit from his head. And he's like, "This is not how I envisioned this turning out." And Paul Walker hands him the keys to his still completely functional and very fast car as the police sirens close in. And Paul Walker goes, "Go, man." And Vin Diesel goes, "You know what you're doing here." And Paul says, "I owe you a 10-second car." And Vin Diesel drives off, and Paul Walker walks off as we cut to credits. Keep rolling, 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 keep rolling. Limp Bizkit, baby. 2001.
There we go. What a film.
Yeah, absolutely. A big old NOS fest, baby.
Yeah, a lot of NOS.
A lot of NOS. A lot of mention of it.
Nitrous oxide system.
Is that what it stands for?
Yeah.
Now, is the energy drink based off of like that in this film? Is that even a real thing? Like, what is this?
I don't know. My assumption is the drink is based off the movie,
Right.
and I have no idea of whether it's a real thing otherwise.
Right. I don't even know if you could find NOS anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a hot
let's find
second.
out.
I don't know if it's been rebranded as like G Fuel.
Sorry, listeners, if you're hearing crinkling. My cat is destroying a bag.
Conquering her enemy, as she is one to do. Yeah, get that. Oh my gosh, she has it in her mouth.
She loves
confirmed
plastic
kill.
bags.
Papa John's plastic stands no chance against this ferocious killer.
Okay, let's see.
Feline descendant. Whiskers. The mighty. So you're looking into NOS.
I am.
Good stuff. Corona was officially mentioned in this film, so we know their partnership started early.
All right, so here is here's the Wikipedia thing. NOS energy drink is an energy drink. Very good. Sold in 16 and 24-ounce cans. The drink is also distributed in a bottle designed to look like a NOS tank.
Yep.
So that kind of does lead me to think that it is a real thing. This bottle has been discontinued. Formerly a property of the Coca-Cola Company, it is currently produced by Monster Beverages and is licensed by Holly Performances, which owns its trademark. NOS contains high levels of taurine and caffeine.
What?
And it also contains guarana. I don't know what the hell that is. Okay, anyway, yeah, so it's a drink. It's still going. Monster Energy distributes it now. And it actually, the reason I looked at the thing was because I wanted to see if it had like any relationship to the Fast and Furious.
Right,
but
right.
it does not seem to be the case.
Huh.
So yeah, I guess it is just a thing that is prevalent in racing culture. And yeah, that's my guess.
Oh, right on.
So were there any acting performances that you thought were of note here?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I really enjoyed all the characters and the actors. I mean, like,
I did
in
too.
F9, I was like, you know, Vin Diesel's being Vin Diesel, whatever the hell. And I was like, all the actors are doing their campy action movie best. But seriously, in this film, I honestly became endeared with all of these characters. Like, Paul Walker's guy, Vin Diesel's guy, Letty, Mia. Like, I care about all of these characters now. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I
Letty,
agree.
Letty
It was a
not
lot
so much.
better.
I feel like Letty has been informed for me
Yeah.
by F9's, like, you know, like Letty as she is fully realized in that film. So, like, kind of knowing that aspect of her character, I think probably made me more endeared to her from this performance. Because in this film, she doesn't stand out too much as she's just like Dom's badass girlfriend. Really,
Yeah.
is like kind of like her character. But you know, Mia, Brian, and Dom.
That's what I was gonna say. I thought that Mia did particularly well. I liked the actress. I think did a very good job of that character.
Yeah, I mean, like, Jesse was cool. They fleshed out his character well enough. Yeah, seriously, like, you know, I found the whole, like, dig kind of endearing. You know, all the characters that got sufficient screen time. Vince was enough of a dick to make me be like, whatever, screw this guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I was. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there were a lot of really good performances in this. Any standout scenes?
Let me think.
I think for me, probably the most of note scene was the truck heist gone bad. That was really good. I liked that a lot. I thought it was choreographed very well. The stakes were high and the tension was high enough that I was actually like wondering what was going to happen and how it was going to resolve. And it actually really surprised me as well because, as I had stated to you, I thought the movie played very heavily into what's his name, Vince, kind of becoming an antagonist of sort.
Right.
But no, he was just a dick, you know.
Yeah.
I was very satisfied with how they resolved that and everything, and yeah, that was probably the most memorable scene in the movie to me.
He was an antagonist to essentially Paul Walker being properly accepted into the crew and being match made with Mia was kind of like the bit. But as soon as basically Mia rejected Vince outright and then became an item with Brian, like Vince stopped being like the antagonist and was just kind of like, you know, an edgy member of the crew or whatever. You know, so I think they successfully kind of swapped and transitioned from him being the antagonizing force once like Brian properly became part of the crew, which is really interesting. You know, you don't see a lot of that. What I really like about the end heist scene and the heist thing in general is that you don't see this in a lot of movies where the establishing heist, they show exactly how they choreograph and pull off these heists. So they're like, this is our system. This is how we rob trucks. And then they go to do it again later in the film. Like, they have their system. Like, you know what they do, and they do it again, as assumably they do every time they heist one of these trucks. And then it goes bad. But I just thought that was really cool that it shows that, like, they've practiced this and they've planned this out enough that it's not just, like, some kind of, like, wing it on these trucks and hop on and fight. But, like, they're like, no, we, like, get in, we do the thing we've trained for, we do our little action stuff, and we get out. Like, we have this process down now. And I thought that was really cool.
And I also really appreciate that the car choreography,
right,
in this movie, like, had a really clear purpose. You know, like it wasn't like just like cool stuff, and it wasn't like, oh, okay, like let's create this problem so that way we can make the cars do cool stuff.
Right.
It was very much like, no, like there are goals that these people have, and they are doing these things to reach those goals.
Yeah, what was really interesting to me is, like, this movie, as far as the car goes, and, like, the car goals go, it's not, I need to move this car as dexterously as possible. There were moments of that. When they were escaping the cops, you know, they weaved through cop cars and things like that. So there was those moments, but, like, the goal, by and large, was, I need this car to go from point A to point B as quickly as possible. And pretty much every scene where cars competed or raced with each other or moved was straight line drag race, very straightforward. Whoever goes faster and uses their NOS correctly wins. And I think that that's really interesting because it kind of didn't need, like you say, it didn't need to create this kind of like driving gallery scene construction, right? It was very much just like who's going to work on their car and drive fastest. And I think that there's a purity to that I kind of appreciated in terms of like the competitiveness of it, I suppose, as opposed to like the finesse of it, which I think was interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think I liked the race war in general. You know, Jesse and Johnny Tran racing, and like Letty and the kind of like weirdo racing. I really appreciated the scenery and the kind of setup of all that, where it's like, you know, we gather here, we have like our desert track, and you can see people
it was kind of like a little
doing
more
their
official.
thing. Yeah, I really enjoyed that kind of atmosphere, and I wish honestly we got more races out of it. Like, I would have, granted, maybe it would have dragged, but I personally would have enjoyed more time just spent on that track, just seeing people throw down and interact in between those times. Because it was an interesting environment for me, and in many ways it was a very like down to earth kind of like a very communal type of thing that I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, again, that was one of the things that was really interesting about this that I was saying earlier, is that like again, of the now like 4 Fast and Furious movies that I've seen,
right,
this was like without a doubt the most down to earth one.
Right. Well, and again, it's interesting. I'm interesting to see when the clear adaptation to like appealing to more big budget kind of vanilla action sensibility goes, because this is very cultivated to appeal to the underground, young, horny, adolescent kind of crew.
It's
and there
definitely gotta
comes
be
a
an
point,
abrupt thing.
huh?
I imagine it's definitely going to be a pretty abrupt thing. Like, I can't imagine that it's something that's super slow.
Yeah, my guess is going to be either Fast 5 or the Fast and the Furious, not the Fast and Furious, the fourth one, because that's like the reboot, right? Like that's after Tokyo Drift, and they do, because it's like the Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, Tokyo Drift, and then Fast and Furious, like the rebrand. So I think it's either going to be that, because my guess is for the reboot, they probably wanted to do like a repackaging of quintessential Fast and Furiousness,
Is it
right?
like a reboot?
Well, it seems like it would be, because they're not calling it Fast 4 or like Fast and Furious 4. They're just calling it Fast and Furious. They're not even giving it like a subtitle, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift, which all are very distinct, distinguishing things.
Let's see how the Wikipedia article.
For the fourth one?
Yeah.
But yeah, with the fourth one, it's just called Fast and Furious. So it seems like a kind of like rebooting of the sensibility of the franchise. Or they just realized that they kind of had a lot of.
At least it could be like a soft reboot kind of deal.
Well, and the one I heard the most about.
Obviously, the continuity and canon of it was not like reset.
Right. What I mean to say is that the one I heard the most about was definitely Tokyo Drift. Like when I was coming up, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift was all I ever heard. And so it seems to me like they probably realized they had a bigger than just the cult following Tokyo Drift. And they thought, oh, this is our time to make it like a mass market franchise, would be my guess. Which is why they're like, all right, Fast and Furious, that's 4, baby. And then Fast 5 and 6 and Furious 7.
I forgot that Gal Gadot is in the fourth one.
Huh.
Yeah.
I only know her as Wonder Woman. I don't follow celebrities very
Me
close.
too, but I do remember at some point I did hear that she was in this.
We'll find out, baby.
Anyway,
So what's it say?
it doesn't say anything specifically about reboot. I guess that'll be something for us to determine
We'll find
as
out.
we get
Yeah.
there.
So that's my guess. That or 5.
Yeah. So what do you think about the plot?
Straightforward,
Like, were there any specific things about it that rubbed you the wrong way or that you did like a lot?
No, when I was talking about Fast 9, I kind of brought this up, and it's like a lot of these stories are just standard stories that you see everywhere, but with cars, right? So like this is another story. It's like undercover cop gets too close to one of the people, reveals his undercoverness, and the person that was close to the person the cop got close to is like the best friend of the cop, and it's like, you're a cop, and, so it's your standard undercover cop story, but with cars.
Yeah. I wish that it
and
wasn't...
younger, I guess.
I wish it wasn't, like, so derivative of tropes that are, like, really well established. But that being said, it was still pretty enjoyable. Like,
it had enough of a niche and a novelty, I think, to distract from the fact that it was just an undercover cop story, right? Like,
yeah, I guess, that is true. Because I wasn't like, oh, this again, really. Until we were, like, analyzing it, I was like, yeah, and then it was like, oh wait, but you're a cop, but I love you. It was like, wait, but your brother, like,
yeah, right. Well, and this is one of those things where it's like, honestly, like this gets brought up a lot, where it's like the story is really secondary to the characters. If you got good characters, the story can be the most straightforward story ever, and it doesn't matter. And for me, these characters, I enjoyed them and felt endeared enough to them that the story really didn't matter. I just wanted to see these characters exist and be. And in many ways, it's because there's like a corny campiness to it that is very 2000s, and like, it just brings joy to my heart. It makes me chuckle a little bit. And it was a very enjoyable time.
Yeah. Well, I guess that leads directly into our next thing. Did you enjoy the film? And I think we've been very clear about that. Yes, I enjoyed it a lot. I really don't have like anything negative to say about it. Like, was it the best movie in the world? Obviously not. No. But like, it was really enjoyable. It was like one of One of the first movies I've seen in a while that I just genuinely had a really fun time watching.
Yeah, I could see myself revisiting this film on a fairly consistent basis. And I already know in my head the parts that I kind of like tune out and roll my eyes at, you know?
Yeah.
Like the first drag race scene is like, whatever, like fine. You know, there's some parts where like interactions between maybe like Brian and Dom that I tune back in for. But like there's some establishing parts that I certainly like scroll on my phone for or whatever.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see myself watching this film over again kind of into the future.
Yeah, I think I also would probably put like a little asterisk next to mine and say that I enjoyed it a lot and I probably would watch it again. I don't know that I'd watch it by myself.
Fair.
Like, it's the type of thing where I definitely think I could get together with some friends and watch it and, like, emphasis on lovingly, like, riff on it.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know that I would, like, ever come home from, like, a hard day of work and be like, you know what? Like, I think Fast and Furious would take this edge off.
Right. Yeah, no, I could see myself doing it, frankly. I unironically just enjoyed the film. Yeah. And also, there's a cornball note that I also would lovingly rip on it because there's some parts of this that's just like, like, oh, sweet God. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is, I wonder if my enjoyment was like tied with the fact that we were just again in a general good mood, ripping jokes and having fun the whole
pizza,
time.
You know?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, but again, good movie, good time. I'm happy we watched that.
Yeah, 100%. Made me sad that Paul Walker departed this earth too soon.
Yeah,
The way he died made me laugh a storm up.
Yeah, because Mike is a
we're far
terrible
enough removed from it, and it is just how ironic.
Yeah, there is a lot of irony there.
Yeah.
Poor Paul Walker.
If you're unaware, Paul Walker died going like over 100 miles an hour in a car accident, which for the man who spends most of this film trying to exceed 140 miles an hour in his very fast car is a very ironic way to go.
Yeah, what a shame.
It's less funny now.
But yeah, when it was more the context of which we discovered it.
Well, because I didn't know, and I was like, dude, please don't tell me that he died fucking in a car accident go really fast.
And I assumed you knew, so I was kind of
No,
like,
I had no clue.
You're joking?
I had no clue, and I was like, dude, because come on, like that is ridiculous.
Yeah, that is kind of like
That is cosmic
really,
ridiculous.
Yeah, really dramatic irony.
Yeah, seriously, like that. There's no way the universe doesn't. That's the type of stuff when people say like God has a sense of humor and it's real fucking twisted. That's exactly what I mean by that. Like that is.
Yeah.
Like Jesus Christ, like the universe just aligned things to make that the case. What? Oh, sweet God! But yeah, I really enjoyed this film. Absolutely,
I did too.
a lot of fun.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed hearing us gush about this movie that we enjoyed a lot more than we expected to.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, anybody could watch this that isn't like me, you know, and it's pretty much anything that is not like a cis white dude, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, anybody could watch the film and be like, there's a lot of stuff in here that is like very, you know,
Not catered to me.
either like conformist or just like generally non, you know, problematic for sure. There's some of that in there, and just like, you know, like who really wants to watch another film about like two testosterone fueled dudes trying to like get hot chicks and or having hot chicks and racing fast cars and doing like parties and fighting and stuff. Like it's a testosterone fueled romp, and so I can absolutely understand anybody being like, you realize this is just a testosterone fueled romp, to which I say yes, and any criticism you have against it absolutely stands.
Yeah.
100%.
I also think it might be worth noting that, again, I don't know that we've actually mentioned it this episode, but we have decided to take on the Olympian task of watching all of the Fast and Furious movies. We started with F9 with limited context, and now we are going through the franchise and gaining that context to then revisit F9.
Yep.
But again, we have committed to this franchise,
Right.
And I think when you make that commitment, you have to internally accept that you are watching these movies, and when you swallow the pill and accept it for what it is, I think you might also just be like, well, I can either go into this and enjoy this, or I can make myself hate it the whole time. And I'm gonna try to enjoy it.
Well, yeah, 100%. I mentioned this in the F9 thing where it's like, I would never, like, in my lifetime, if we didn't choose to do this, I don't think I'd ever come to a point in my life where I'm like, you know what I want to do? I want to go watch all the Fast and Furious movie or all of the Fast and Furious. I just want to check them out. Nope, wouldn't happen. But F9 came up as kind of like a semi-ironic type of like, let's go watch like the ridiculousness with cars that is going to be F9. And it was that 100%. And I didn't feel necessarily endeared as much as I thought this is silly and hilarious. And I cannot wait for more silly and hilarious. But this film I watched and genuinely felt endeared. And so that caught me off guard because I was kind of like jaded and, you know, ironically watching it like how silly and ridiculous these kind of like bros with biceps gripping each other are going to do.
Yeah.
And it was very much in that energy length, but in that wavelength, energy length. It was very much, it had that energy and it was in that wavelength, but I unironically enjoyed it and I can't deny that I just had a good old time and like these characters. Probably Paul Walker and Mia the most. So like Vin Diesel is Vin Diesel, and not that he's bad, but you know, he's kind of silly.
Yeah,
you know, that's where I'm at.
He just plays the same character.
So I imagine once Paul Walker departs and Mia plays a much less central role in future films, like it's gonna be like, yeah, it's probably going to get more to the silly quotient at that point. So you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next film.
Yeah, as am I.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, everybody, stay fast, stay furious, and watch movies. That's our slogan.
With Nos. Drink Nos, watch movies.
Yeah.
And join the truckers union because it seems like they're a real intimidating bunch.
Unionize.
Labor, baby.
All right, Mike, would you like to do our rating today?
Yes, I would. All right, Nate, what would you rate this film?
I would say it's easily a out of.
Yeah, and I don't know many more movies that are going to breach this level of regard in my rating, but me, right now, this point in time, I gotta give this movie a out of. Just great. I loved it, and I stand by that rating.
Yeah, well said. I don't know if I could have said it better myself.